G'day! Welcome to this 2nd of March edition of Message of Hope. Sorry guys, just looking for the stairs. Found it. Okay, here we go. Alright. Well, October last year, I was in Sydney for a few days and found myself wandering through Chinatown on a Sunday afternoon. Now there was a bakery, nothing upmarket about it. The kind of place you expect to grab something cheap and cheerful without thinking too hard. Which way do I go? Let's go this way. Okay. I look through the glass at the egg tarts. Beautiful little things, as they always are. Golden pastry, silky custard, I love it. And I reached out for my wallet. Haha. Over $5 each. Yeah, I stood there for a moment. This is 2025 prices, right? Not because $5 is going to break anyone, but because something in that price told me that the world I understood a few years ago is not the world I'm living in now. And I suspect you've had your version of that moment too. Maybe it wasn't an egg tart. Maybe it was the checkout last Tuesday. Maybe it was reaching out for a packet of Tams and noticing something feels lighter. Something feels really off. Because frankly it is. You see, Consumer Choice, the group magazines, they've actually documented that Tim Tams now contain fewer biscuits per packet than they used to. Shock horror, right? Same packaging, same price, but you'll find it's going to be less Tim Tam inside. The world has a word for it. It's called shrinkflation. So please, you're not imagining this. Mind you, it's not just Tim Tams. You'll probably even notice that fruit prices in Australia are roughly 12% gone up. Coffee up around 13%. Eggs, lamb, vegetables, across the board, prices are higher. Or perhaps even packets are small, or perhaps even both same time, if you can believe that will happen. So around about 84% of Australian households say they're worried about the cost of groceries. Rightly so. That's not a fringe concern, that's neatly every family you know. Now before I go further, if you are watching this and you are in genuine hardship right now, I'm talking about struggling to put food on the table, please reach out to the Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul and other organisations. They run emergency relief services and they'll help you without judgment, I'm sure. Of course, that's a different conversation to the one I'm having today, but it's an equally important one. This is why I mentioned it. Because what I'm talking about today is something different. I'm talking about the drift, moving away. People who are managing technically with their finance, but the food spending hasn't been looked at honestly for 6 months. People who have struggled to tell you what they actually spent on grocery last month. I'm talking to those people. I think that problem is far more common than we admit, and I know because I've been that person. You see, when my wife had to travel overseas for an extended period of time to care for her elderly parents, I found myself doing the groceries alone for the first time in a very long time. And I'm going to be honest about how that started. Let's explore this area. I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't paying attention either. Plenty of processed food found its way into the trolley. The chips, the processed cheese. Convenience drove more decisions than it should have. I wasn't tracking anything. I told myself I was fine. Now I'm not asking you have to be religious about it, tracking every expense. But I like to, as much as I can. Then one day I actually looked, because I was curious, right? I decided to scrutinize. Really put a magnifying glass over my costing. Every food choice and every dollar, right? I kept that habit for 4 months. To my surprise, my best month across that whole period came in at under $400. That just covered the groceries, petrol, and 2 meals out. So, yeah, it doesn't pay for electricity, gas, internet. There's separate charges. Uh-oh, I think I come to a dead end here. I'll go this way. Yeah. Yeah, but everything else, under $400. I wasn't starving myself. I'll tell you later. I was surprised, not because I've uncovered some clever system. I didn't. Because I discovered that living a minimal lifestyle without being a killjoy was really possible. I've read it in books, in theory, but... Oh, there's a little bird up there. I just hadn't been paying attention before. And that's what drift cost. It's not a catastrophe. It's just a slow, unnoticed bleed of a category nobody feels guilty about because everybody has to eat. Which brings me here. Proverbs chapter 21 verse 5. It says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." The plans of the diligent, not the prayers of the diligent. Prayers are important, but in this context, it's not the intention. It's the plans, right? And groceries are where that plan either holds or quietly fall apart. Someone coming through parking? Maybe, okay. Now, like my other episodes, I don't call it a budget. I don't know. The word budget seems to create a low-grade resistance in most people that makes them put the conversation off until next week, and the week after, and the week after. I like to call it a spending plan. Oh, cars parking today. And grocery category is where spending plan plays off faster than almost anywhere else. Okay, they're picking up people, elderly people by the looks of it. Hello. It's weekly, it's visible, and small adjustments compound quickly. Here's what I actually do. That's an interesting one. The simplest one costs almost nothing, right? Making it a little extra dinner, something practical. So you don't have to make too much, but just enough that there's a portion in the fridge for the next day's lunch. I've been doing that for donkey years, right? That's how I save money. I'm guessing a lunch that you buy in most Australian capital cities now, it will sit above the $15 mark. Okay, that's a lot of eggs I can buy. Now last night's leftover chicken and rice sits at effectively $0 for me. So I already paid for it before. Even if you have a small outdoor area like a balcony, you see a pot on a windowsill, a patch of dirt, with that you can grow your own herbs. Spring onions are the obvious starting point. I've got heaps of those. You cut them, leave the root end in a glass of water on the bench, and guess what? Magically they regrow. Mint is just as easy, arguably too easy, because mint will attempt to colonize everything it touches if given a chance, right? So keep it contained in the pot. Basil, chives, parsley, chilies. Chilies are really easy to grow. None of these require skill or special equipment. And a basil plant at the nursery costs around $3. It gives you more fresh basil than you can use in a month. I've checked it out, even a supermarket bunch of basil also costs around $3 and it's dead by Thursday. So the mess is not complicated. Grow your own if you can. Now, checking the discount catalogues or even the apps before you write your shopping list, not after. It's 5 minutes of your week that changes what you buy. I'm sure Coles, Woolworths, Aldi all publish them, right? So check them first. Build your grocery shopping list around what's on special if you can. Most people write the list first and check the catalogues second. Which is why the catalog saves them nothing. They're there for a reason, right? So I'm one of those people who I don't avoid junk mail. I like to see what's happening around the world. Oh, I've got to cross the road. Okay, here's something that still makes me slightly pleased with myself, because I know my local stores, their prices well enough that I've developed patient hunter's instinct. Recently, I picked up 30 free range eggs for $10 a day. $10 a tray, I'm saying. 30, right? Not 12, not half a dozen, not even a dozen, not 2 dozen, 30. And I also picked up 5 kilograms of frozen chips for $8. Yeah, I mean, both were well within the expiry date, so no issue with that. Both were sitting there waiting for someone who knew what a good price looked like and was willing to wait for the moment. I was one of those people. Now, I don't think that was luck. That's just a spending plan in action. And the best picture I know for what that actually looks like is not where I expected to find. You can find it also in Luke chapter 15 verse 8. That's what he says. Or what Jesus said. Or what woman having 10 silver coins, if she loses 1 coin, does not light a lamp and sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost." She lights a lamp, right? She sweeps the house, she searches until she finds it. She didn't lose that coin through catastrophe. She lost track of it. It was hers all along anyway. It was somewhere in the house. She just hadn't been paying attention to where it went. Okay, so this is my point. That's the drift I was talking before. That's the grocery category going unexamined for 6 months. Hello, little birdie. Oh, they'll fly away from me. That's me standing in the supermarket without a plan, telling myself I was fine. That was me. Okay? I'm not asking you to be perfect, but a little practice can help. And Jesus doesn't tell this story to make you feel shame. He tells it to describe what diligent recovery looks like and what it feels like when you find what was slipping away. She calls her friends, she throws a party. Because a spending plan isn't an act of joyless restraint. Like I said, it's not a killjoy. It's the lamp and the broom. The $5 egg tart, as I said before, is not going back to $3.50. Used to. The Tams are not going to get bigger. Fruit prices are not going to... Passing a school here, got to be careful. Fruit prices are not going to come down out of goodwill. That's the world we're managing inside. But friend, the money that has been slipping away in your grocery spending, it's still findable, right? It's in you. It's in a dinner you could cook a little more of tonight. It's in a catalogue you haven't checked this week. It's in the spring onions growing on your kitchen bench in a glass of water. People are panting. So light the lamp, pick up the broom. And when you find it, you'll find it. Allow yourself to feel genuinely pleased about it. Because a God who tells a story about 1 recovered coin and ends it with a celebration is not a God who thinks careful stewardship it's beneath you. Not at all. I know it's a little bit a long one today, but it's an important topic. I think everyone can relate to it. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to put a like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video to your loved ones. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.